of the Soul Truth Spotlight. Yes, sir, good people. Well, we recognize those patterns that are keeping you stuck and getting you more into your authentic alignment. So you can dare to be you. Today's guest, he was here last week. He's here to give you an update on what the 5R framework did, and then any other challenges or questions they might have. So let's welcome Jermaine Johnson back to the spotlight. Welcome back, man.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, y'all? I'm happy to
What's
be here
going
again.
on, sir?
Thanks for inviting me back.
Yes, sir. Yes, look, I'm excited to be back. You know, man, when you reached out and you wanted to come back, man, I was excited to have you back on the show because I really wanted to walk through that progression on the last time we talked on the steps that I gave you. And I really want to see the community. I wanted the community to see how those steps helped you or didn't help you. So we just don't dive right into it now, man. You know what I'm saying? I got to fix my little piece real quick. Hold on.
Yeah,
All right. Y'all hear me now? Y'all hear me now? Y'all good? We straight?
we
Okay.
good.
Yeah, man. So we just gonna dive right into it. So
Okay.
so just talk to the community about the last episode we had. We talked about you was step out to be an entrepreneur on your own. It was a little bit of kind of fear and doubt. So just talk to the community about that, about how you helped yourself through that, and then we'll get into today's topic.
Well, last time we talked, we really talked about like the mental aspects, preparing your mind first, getting your nervous system right. That's one of the things that I really wanted to get my head right because a lot of times you have aspirations, but your head is not fully equipped to shed the old you, which is like the employee, to
Uh,
turn it into the person that you're supposed to become. So it was just a lot of just like meditating on what I wanted to become and overcoming those fears. Was just hey man, I would be lying to you if I told you like I was just ready to just jump off the porch and go straight. It was like whoa, I'm going from a situation where stability, 2 week check and all that and benefits and all that, to now it's just like the unknown. And a lot of
yeah,
times
yeah,
it doesn't have to be in entrepreneurship. It could be anything that you do, whether it be a sports or anything. When you go from what you're used to the unknown, there's going to be
yeah.
that like, oh my God, like what if this go wrong? What if that go wrong? And just trying to get my mind right on that, like, hey, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is where I know where I'm supposed to be going. And there will be challenges, so just like anything, but you're embarking on new challenges. So that was just the first thing I was doing, just getting my mental game prepared.
Man, that's good to hear. So talk to a little bit to the community about. I know last time you said it was a story. We talked a little bit about how your dad had a business and how you didn't really tell nobody that about how the way he lost his business and that kind of created a story within your own mind. So just
Uh-huh.
talk to the community about a little bit from the last episode when I kind of talked you through the 5R framework. How did you really use that to walk yourself through those stories to get started to the point to where you are now from the last episode?
Well, I remember it was like when you were talking about like how you're talking to yourself and how you're dealing with these challenges. Um, it was just like just talking to myself, talking through myself because that was his story. And those are
Hmm.
things that he went through, and I can't adopt his story and apply it to my own story. And then once you realize like you have, it's not that you're becoming an entrepreneur, you already are. You're just on the beginning stages of the journey. So stop talking about I'm going to be, because if you're going to be, that's what you're always going to be. It's like I have to walk in the mindset of I am an entrepreneur, you know, and I'm
Man, I like that. I like that.
yeah, and I'm just
I like that. I like
transitioning.
what you said. It's not that I have to talk myself into being an entrepreneur. I'm already an entrepreneur. I just have to talk myself out of the stories that kept me from being an entrepreneur. I love that, man. I love that. So
Absolutely.
now that you've been into it, you took the leap. I suspect that you took the leap, right? So just talk to the community a little bit about how that's been. Since you took that leap last month to now, how has that actually been for you? Like, talk to the community about the uncertainty, talk to the community about the pressure, some of the things that we talked about, So you actually using the five framework, has that really helped you walk yourself through that, or has it not? Because I just want to get the sauce to the community, the real. If it didn't help,
Right.
then we can talk about what didn't help, and then we can move forward on that, man. So, yeah, I just want to give truth to the community.
Hey, one thing that I think all people who are transition or are aspiring to be, they always think that the timing's got to be perfect. Like, no, it ain't the right time. Oh man, I'm gonna do it next month or 6 months from now, and it's like I had to get in my mind like there is no such thing as perfect timing. Perfect timing is right now.
Hmm.
So that was one of the things that we talked about in your 5 steps. Like, know where you're at, but you got to move to where you want to be. And I had to look at where we're at and look at where we want to be. And when I say we, it is a we thing because me and my wife is both in this together. Shout out to my wife and my kids.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. I always said if I ever go live, I'm gonna shout them out. So shout out my wife and my kids. But this journey of knowing where I'm at, where I want to be, when you know where you're at, you kind of hesitate because it's like the timing ain't right. Like, no, I don't know if I want to do it right now. It was overcoming that. It was that psychological part because your nervous system, man, when it gets uncomfortable, your brain begin to tell you all kind of stuff, and all you actually think about is the failure aspect of it. But it was like, wait a minute, like, what if I hit big? Like, what if I be, like hit multi millions because of this? It's like, wow, like let's think of that. Let's think about success because, we're former basketball players, right? Hey
Yeah,
man, when you step on that, like you could been practicing for months. When you step on that court and see other players, it get kind of intimidating, because it's like you finally see somebody taller and bigger than you, and is more
yeah,
athletic than you, and you're like, oh my god, like what am I getting
yeah,
myself
yeah,
into, right? It's no different from when you aspire. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, it's like you are thinking about all the things that are like that look appear to be big to you, and it's like no, like you have to talk yourself through this. Like, hey, I know what I've been working on. I know what I've been doing. I'm gonna just play my game. And it's no different from the concept of basketball. You got to get out there and you got to do it. You can't just be sitting around waiting on the perfect time. You can't just be sitting around thinking that you're gonna fail. So, man, the first aspect of it, just to sum up what I've been doing the whole month, well, not entirely, because there's some other steps you want, I'm gonna let
yeah.
you guys in on, but it was just getting my head right. Number one, and using those 5 steps. Listen, know where you're at, know where you want to be. Hey,
Wow,
that's what we've been
wow,
doing.
wow. So you just said, man, I love the analogy that you used about basketball, right? Knowing your game, understanding what you bring to the table, understanding your skill set. It's not about the other players, right? Because on the pro level, everybody's good, like we talk about,
Everybody.
right? So you got to really hone into you. So what I heard you say is, since the last episode, you guys really start understanding where you are mentally, emotionally, financially, and you just took the steps, right? You just start with one foot in front of the other. Practice like an athlete. I always say practice don't make perfect. Practice make better. Because most
Yeah.
people get a misunderstanding about practice and practice makes perfect. No. So it sounds like since the last coaching session that we had, you guys actually put those things into application that we was talking about. Because I always say that application is what changes your life. The knowledge
Mhm.
is life changing, right? The knowledge is power, but the application is what changes your life. I love that analogy, man, about you just knowing what you bring to the table, not worrying about the other players, not worrying about things that you can't control on the outside of you, but just coming fully present, ready to work and ready to go accomplish and be in alignment to your goals, to your dreams, right? So talk a little bit about how your wife had to integrate with that. That's one of the things we talked about in the last episode about how you asked me if you could regulate your spouse's nervous system, and my answer was no, but you can help them regulate. So talk about that process. How's that? I mean, how that process been since the last episode, since we talked, since you guys kind of got your feet wet. How's that process been for you guys?
Yeah, well, a lot like basketball. you got to know your teammate. You got to know when they're gonna pass, when they gonna what what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, and believe it or not, my wife more or less has the vision. I'm the guy that carries it out. I'm the guy that slam dunks it, right?
Mm,
Like
mm,
when to just take you back when we first started out, we were in a one bedroom condo with a loft. And the family grew, and she like, yo, it's time to move. We gotta expand. And I'm
yeah,
comfortable. I'm good. But
yeah.
she saw it, and when we decided, okay, this is the time for us to go, because once again, I fell under that. Well, the time ain't right. I don't know if we make enough money, and you just started a job,
Mm.
and it's like,
The
no, let's go
story,
do it.
huh?
Yeah, story in my head. I had that story like the time ain't right. Well, she was like, "Yo, let's get it." I started looking at houses. Here's what we're looking for. We knew where we at. We knew where we wanted to be. We we found a house, and it was like, "Yo, this is it." And it's just like that's the same role that we're doing applying today. Like, hey, here's the vision. This is what we want to do. This is where we want to be. These are the activities and things we want to do. And it's like, all right, yep, got it. Carry it out. And I'm good, man. I'm good with what I understand about myself is I'm good with like this is the mission. Go do it. Go get it. And
Got you.
she
Got you.
more or less like, hey, here's the timing. This is what we should do. This is how we should do it. And we're there. So
Man, I love it because y'all have somewhat of a dynamic. I mean, dynamic like me and my wife, but I'm more of the visionary. Not saying that my wife don't have vision or nothing like that, but like I feed the vision to my wife, then she makes it practical. Okay, this is what we need to do first. Not that I can't, but she's like, hey, slow your roll. Cause I get too excited, right? Because I'm a visionary, right? So I see 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and my wife is like, what about today? About tomorrow. We need to slow this thing down, So I love that dynamic that you and your wife have. It kind of sounds similar to me and my wife. So just talk about like right now, going forward today, where you got at in the business of the journey, where you got at in like implementing like practical tools that you guys are using to kind of walk yourself through the pressure moments because, like me and you talked about in the last episode, if it's one thing I know as an entrepreneur, you're gonna have some pressure moments all through the
oh,
journey. So just talk about how you guys have been able to walk yourself through those pressure moments in the beginning. If you already have pressure moments a month or 2 months into the process already.
okay. So I'm in the home care field, so the one thing that we talked about is like when we get additional people to take care of, we want to have it outside the home. And so, um, the first step was like I need to get with a realtor. So one of my old former colleagues that I worked with, he's in real estate now. He retired, went into real estate, and I had just, how like you just, have discussions with your people, and you're just talking to them and like, hey man, I'm gonna
Hmm.
do this. I didn't know he was listening. And he happened to call me up and was like, "Hey man, I'm in real estate now, and I want to just see if you're still interested in doing that home care." And I'm like, "Oh man, I forgot I told you that." So we end up meeting up, and I just like, okay, I'm gonna just see where it's at. I don't know if we ready. I'm not where I think I should be, but I was like, see, there you go. I'm talking myself out of it again, and I'm like, you are ready. You are. And so um, met up with him, and he like, yeah, man, yeah, like, hey, that you right there. We can make this happen. And so that's why I'm on that
Wow.
process, that first step of just looking
Wow.
at some real estate.
Wow. Wow. So listen, talk to the community about because I heard you just say, the story came up. So give the community like a practical example. When that story came up, how did you literally walk yourself through that after we talked about that last month? Because you mentioned how like, whoa, I might not be ready, but then you succeeded. So that lets me know that you literally walk yourself through that and you calmed your nervous system or you would be able to proceed. So just
Mhm.
talk about how you did that, man. Like what are some of the steps that you took in the moment in real time to do that? Hey, we got a guest. Come on, hey, say hi. What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up?
Yeah. So
Hey,
just talk a little bit about that, how you had to walk yourself through that in real time. What that looked like.
and that's why I want to come real with the people, man, because I'm not gonna sit up here and say like it was easy, man. Like, hey, it's just like a baby walking, man. When a baby's inspired to get them start walking, it's gonna stumble and fall. Hey, when you first become, I mean, when you first start out in entrepreneurship, them old, those old habits, them old thoughts is gonna come, and it's real, and it's like it's a habit, and it dies hard, man. But
Hmm.
it's like when it came up, I just talked to myself and was like, yo, like uh, this is what you're supposed to be doing, and everything's gonna be okay. And like I'm literally telling myself, everything is gonna be okay, and it just kind of calmed me down. And it's like I wouldn't. I convinced myself like I would. All this timing is not for a reason. Like the real estate
Yeah.
guy, my friend calling me and saying this and these steps that are coming up in the agencies I'm dealing with, it's like, yo, it's this is supposed to be, or it never would be. Like, and a lot of people quit because they
Hmm.
think like it's not perfect, it's not a perfect scenario, or it's like it's not going how they thought in their head, thought it would be in their head, and it's like, um, no,
Man, that's
despite
so true.
the challenges, it's the right time. It's perfect. This is a journey you're gonna go
Man, you know what? I love what you said, how a lot of people quit. And shout out to the people that's on here. What's up? What's up? I see y'all saying hi, 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 y'all, howdy, wherever y'all from. Put in the comments where y'all from, what state y'all from, where y'all watching from. I'm OKC, baby. So, yeah, so, but one of the things that you said, man, that stuck out to me about walking yourself through that, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then you said a lot of people quit, right? Because it's comfortable. I tell people, it's gonna be uncomfortable in the beginning because your nervous system is not trained to it. Just like what you said. Just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean it's not for you. You know what I'm saying? So just like you had to walk yourself through that uncomfortableness, and you had to make your nervous system feel safe. So I tell people all the time, your nervous system is never going to feel comfortable with doing something new. It's never going to feel comfortable with doing something new. Your job is to train it to feel safe while you're doing something new, just like what you was doing by self-talk, by talking yourself through it. Hey, we're fine. There's no urgency. There's no trouble right now. Everything's working out like it should. Even though your nervous system is freaking out right now, right, in the fight or flight. So just talk a little bit about how, like you said, you and your spouse, she's more the visionary. You carried out, but and then last episode you was talking about how she more so of the stability and you're more so of the entrepreneur. So just talk about how that dynamic has played out since the last episode, and how have you guys been able to kind of, you know, be emotionally available and mentally available during this process for you guys, for each other to stay connected during this process.
and again, it's all about are you guys mentally connected? Like me and my wife have been through things where we've had success and we've had failure and learned from the failure. Um, when you're able to uh, get together and talk things out, and hey, let's just take this chance because I've always said, hey, when we get older, we don't want to look back and be like, oh man, you know what? Wish we would have done that. We want to just at least see, hey, you know
Mhm.
what? We tried. This is what happened, and we move on. But it's like, what if we're successful? What if that was our opportunity to be
Mhm.
successful like that? And it's we're able to talk through that. Now, again, that's the reason why I'm transitioning. If I was a single guy, I probably would have just dove in feet first, like get the job and let's just go. But being that I have a family, it has to be more of a cautionary. So that's why what it stuck out to me when you was giving me those 5 pillars last month. It's like know where you at, and that stuck with me. Like yo, like I never even thought about that because like that GPS, man. If that navigation don't have a start, man, you could be starting from Canada somewhere. You just trying to get down, 10 miles down the road. So um, we we set a
No,
goal
that's
of where,
true.
where we at, and then we know where we want to be. And so it's just a process. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And so that's what's able to make it a little more comfortable because this is not an overnight thing. This is not a fast success story. This is a journey.
Man, I like it. I like when you mentioned GPS too. Like we talked about it last month show. The GPS thing is real. A lot of people don't end up to where they want to be at because they put in the wrong starting destination because they lie to themselves. Like we talked about in the last episode, right? So you really gotta be truthful about where you're starting from. Just like mentioned with a GPS. If I'm trying to get to the store, but I put a starting point from my sister's house and not my house, it's going to be a totally different route. Even though I might be closest to the store, but it have the wrong starting point. So I love the way you said that about how you and your wife now, y'all been through laws, been through things. You guys been married how long now? Tell the community how long you guys been married.
We've been married 12 years, but we've been together 13.
13. So yeah, so you guys experienced some things, been through some losses, and I love that, man. What you said, just talking that out, making sure that y'all connect mentally, emotionally, right? And y'all come together like y'all do it and make the decision. That's kind of how me and my wife do, even though I can kind of get far out in front and I can just see things 10, 15 years down. She helped pull me back, and then we come together, we talk about it, and we get real about where we starting from. Where are we starting from? Right? It's not where I think I'm starting from, because most of us think we're starting from a better place than what we really are. We right? So I always tell people you have to be honest with yourself where you're starting from. If you're trying to change your money, where are you starting from? If you're trying to really start a business, where are you starting from? If you're trying to have a better relationship, where is your relationship right now? If you try to up your level in your identity, where is your self confidence at right now? Where are you starting from? And then where are you trying to go? Because the GPS needs those two things to get you to your spot. And another thing about as we continue on, and I tell people you got to think about it like a GPS. When you're on the right path, watch this. A GPS never talks to you until what? Until you miss the exit, right? Or you're about to come up on the exit.
Mm.
So most people think because they don't hear nothing internal when they're doing something that they're on the wrong path. And I always remind them, no, your GPS don't talk to you unless you miss the exit, or then it reroutes you, or you're about to come up on the exit. And then it tells you take this exit left. Other than that, you just gotta trust the route because it's not gonna say nothing to you.
Mm.
So that's the
That was
same with
great.
entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
It's the same way with entrepreneurship. It's the same way with life. I tell people if you know where you're starting from and you know where you want to end up at, then trust your GPS system. The GPS system is what I call it God's position system. GPS, God's position system. So in order for God to position you right, then He needs two things from you: where you're starting from and where you're ending up at. So yeah, man. So just talk a little bit about if you got any more questions or
Mhm.
challenges or stories right now. We're about 25 minutes in. I kind of want to get the community just in case you had any more questions, challenges, stories that I can help you walk through right now. It sounds like you've made great progress, man, since the last episode. And I'm excited about the thing that you and your wife are going to continue to do. But if you got any extra questions or anything like that, I would love to answer right now for the community, man.
Okay. Well, for the people that are tuning in or are going to tune in that are inspiring entrepreneurs, I wanted you to go back to when you first started out. Maybe you were an employee. Let's go back to when you were employed. What was it when you were employee that made you say, "Yo, this is it. I'm moving into entrepreneurship"? I mean, it didn't have to be a bad thing. It could have been, like a light came off or something. But
Yeah,
what triggers you to
yeah.
be like, you know what, this is it?
Man, that's a great question. That is a great question. I don't think nobody ever asked me that question. That's a great. So what really triggered me? I grew up around entrepreneurship as a community. My mom and dad had businesses, my dad and grandmother. When I was working as an ortho tech, man, I just literally what triggered me to do it, I got tired of punching the clock for somebody else. Like, literally,
Mm,
because I saw entrepreneurship my whole life. And so I always knew entrepreneurship was possible for me. I always knew entrepreneurship was something that I was really supposed to be doing. So the day that I really made that decision to like quit, my wife tell you, like I had been playing with it for a while, and one day I woke up and I told wifey, I said, I'm quitting today. And she looked like, what?
what?
I said, yeah, babe. I said, I think today was the day. Like, I just felt it. Like, it was ruined. It kind of got, how tension builds up and it builds up and it just built up. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm a bet on me. I saw entrepreneurship my whole life and I bet on me. And I just took the leap, man, and I haven't looked back since. Yeah.
I swear that's like the same thing. It's like an internal feeling that you get. It's like you know something's calling you to do what you're doing, and
No.
that's the same thing. I think a lot of
Man, you know what? I
people
always tell people all the time, it's the feeling. You can't put your finger on it. It's a
you can't.
feeling. It's
Yeah.
almost like when I met my wife, I couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew she
Yep.
was the one.
You know it was
Like
like
I
something
can't
special.
really
Like this is
describe
different.
that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's different. And that's how it was, man. I remember my job just gave me a $2 raise. How many people will walk away from a $2 raise from a job? I got
Oh,
a
that's.
$2 raise at my job and I quit.
Mm,
And I knew my boss thought I was crazy when I quit. She like, so what you gonna do? You already got the business lined out and going? I said, no. I just got a vision and a dream, and I'm out, baby. And we did have it going. I think we had one account when I quit, but I had a partner at the time, and me and my partner just had split. So we really didn't have business at the time that I quit because me and him just had split because it just didn't work out the way that we wanted to. Like, that's another thing about partnership. If you ever go into entrepreneurship or partnership, maybe you choosing the right partner, just like you do a spouse or marriage. Because a business partner is the same thing. And so I really didn't have no business at the time, even though I had an idea and a vision. And man, they thought I was crazy. In the first 2 years after we quit, me and my wife, we grew our cleaning business to over 200K a year.
mm.
Yeah, and had it for another almost 20 years. So I just say that to say you got to trust your gut, you got to trust your instinct. So that's kind of what made me just take that leap, man. Yeah, that's a great question, though.
Okay. So I got a two-part question for you. And the first
Yeah.
part you can answer yes or no, and then the second part is going to lead you to in more context to that.
Okay.
When you first started out being well, here's what I'm going through right now. So a lot of my business is based on contingency. Like if this is going to go on, then it'll trigger this, it'll trigger this. I've done my part. Now I have to sit back and wait. And being patient is one of my it's what I'm progressively uh, getting better at. Okay.
Hmm.
When you were first starting out as an entrepreneur, what did patience teach you back then when you were at, because I'm sure you wasn't an overnight success. What did patience teach you back then that you apply to entrepreneurship today?
Man, that's a great question. I feel like I'm being interviewed now, but that's a great. Hey, so patience, man, it taught me. It really taught me just what it said. Patience. I know that sounds cliche, but it really taught me that nothing is built overnight. I know we hear the story that Rome wasn't built in a day, but when you really have to go through that process, you understand that Rome wasn't built in a day. You know, you really understand that. So
Right.
it really taught me the patience of compound income, and I'm still learning
Mm,
compound income because most of the time, most of us are used to transactional income. We do
right.
the work and then get paid for it.
Mm,
Most entrepreneurs understand compound income, and then higher up you get at scaling your business, you really have to be okay with compound. income. And so that's where patience come in. The stock market is compound income. That's kind of what the stock market taught me too, patience.
Mm.
So to answer your question, what patience taught me patience, if that makes sense.
No,
It
no,
taught me
it
to really
does.
slow myself down and wait until the process re-unfolds instead of trying to rush the process, instead of trying to speed up the process, instead of trying to make the process fit my timeline. It taught me how to sit my ass down and be patient. Do what you need to do your part, control what you can, and then let the rest go. So that's what really taught me over the years. We first started our cleaning business, even now, as I'm building out the Dirty BU network, our digital products, all that stuff, got a cannabis business outside of this. It really taught me how to trust the process. So that's how I would answer that. Patience taught me how to trust the process.
Mm. Yes, good. That's good. Um, and just another question of, like I always tell my clients I work with at the job this, like I know life be life, but life
Hmm.
be life, and when you're an employee, that's one thing. When life be life, and when you're
Yeah.
an entrepreneur, the unexpected be happen. How does what did it teach you about saving money? How to deal with situations that come up as an entrepreneur that you did not expect? Knowing when to take breaks instead of this is the time you take a break, setting your own schedule. How did you come up with that? Did it take some time? Did you grow into it, or did you have a system set up beforehand? When did you get all that process?
Man, actually, it took a little bit of time, but I've always known kind of my productive hours, if that makes sense. So I talked about this on another podcast that I was a guest on about my productive hours. So my productive hours are like from 5 to 2 p.m. So I tell people I get the most out of my day between that time period, between
Mm,
5 and 2 p.m. So my hardest things in my day, I do them between 5 and 2 p.m. You know, so I carve out that time frame to eat the frog, if that makes sense, to do the most difficult things of my day. Because after 2 p.m., I just don't have the mental bandwidth to do certain things
mm,
that really take a lot of mental fortitude. You know what I'm saying? So I try to schedule everything within that. And then to answer the second part out, the unpredictability, understanding how to save money, understanding how to put money back. All that was learned behavior. Because as an entrepreneur, when you first start out and get that first big check, you like, woo, we got money, we
the
got
lottery.
money, we got money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's a check that you're really not used to. Like when my wife first started our cleaning business, I mean, like I said, we grew our cleaning business to over 200K in the first 2 years. We've never made that type of money when we first started. So over $200,000 the first 2 years, we were spending it, driving it, we was never. And then we had to figure out, oh, okay, some months are going to be delayed. Some months your clients are not going to pay you on time, right? So you still got bills and things that are due. Do you need to manage your money a little bit better because you don't have set pay periods as an entrepreneur? As 9 to 5 employee, you have set pay periods, right? No, you're gonna get paid every fifth or 20th or every 2 weeks. So you just schedule your bills or whatever around that. As an entrepreneur, you have to incorporate a little bit more self-discipline, a little bit more money management, right? A little bit more self-awareness about your spending habits and all that. So to me, I always tell people as entrepreneurs, it takes you being a lot more self-aware of yourself to really be a
Mm,
successful entrepreneur. Because money management, discipline, you don't have to learn when to take breaks, like you just asked. For me, I can feel myself getting burned out, right?
mm,
When I'm overexerting myself, meaning that for me, I found out over the years when it's time for me to take a break, and when like material becomes too hard for me to come up with topics or things to talk about, right? When like I feel like I don't really like doing this today, that means I need to step back. I've been doing too much and I have to take that break. So that emotional burnout. So before I get to that point, I always ask myself before I even get that point. I dive in and I've been putting in work like building a network 3, 4, 5, 6 months straight. I always check in with myself maybe a month out. Hey, where's your emotional health at? Where's your mental health at? Right? Are you grinding and hustling or are you working from alignment? Because those are two different things. So it is about getting a rhythm, and that's part of the 5 R framework, finding your own rhythm and building life around that rhythm. Because everything in life has a rhythm. So I tell people, think of life like the dance floor, right? We seen people get on the dance floor, dance to a song, and they're not on rhythm. And it looks very awkward and weird, right? When they're not on rhythm, right? Right? You like, you dude, they ain't even on rhythm out there. So just think about life like that. You can tell when you got a rhythm, then it's time to sit down, time to take a step back. It's time to relax. But as long as you in your own little rhythm and you flowing and you doing your thing, then you just keep going. So, man, I hope that answers your question.
No, I did. No, it was funny is it took me back to when we was in school. Remember Mo? We be dancing all out of rhythm.
Yeah,
Shout out to Mo if he's still out there, man.
all out of
Yeah.
like, dude, what are you doing?
Like what you- no, but
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
like the
yeah,
part where you
man.
oh just what I was just saying I like the part where you was
Oh
talking
no, no,
about
go ahead,
when you
go ahead.
uh I like the part where you was talking about like when uh you got when you knowing your body and when knowing when you need to take breaks and all that. I think, and I heard you last time you were on the show with Dr. Ford when you were saying you were struggling with learning when know how to take breaks because you always thought that if you wasn't always productive, then you wasn't doing that in your entrepreneurship. Can you tell us about the journey when you
Mhm.
had to learn how to take a break and what do you do to take breaks? And when do you know when to stop taking a break and get up and move?
Man, so like with the network, this is Dare to Be You network. So what I'm doing, I got slots that I feel, right, and shows that I feel. So basically, how I know when it's time for me to take a break is that I start becoming overwhelmed. I feel
Mm,
that in my nervous system enough to where like the story really gets active in my head, right?
mm,
Like really get active, hey, you can't take a break, you gotta be doing this, you gotta still be pushing. If you rest, then the whole community's gonna fall off. If you don't do a so when I start hearing that story, that's you normally my signal that I do need to take a break.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? Because the
mm,
story is loud in my head. Normally, when I don't need a break and I'm in my flow, the story is turned way down, right? So
mm,
when the story gets loud in my head, and then I can feel the activation in my body, that's data telling me, hey, you done enough. It's time to back away for a day or two. It's time because the way my systems are, I don't really have to create content every day. I do it because I love it. I got systems in place that all the content that people see, I go live like once a week on different shows, and then I
mm,
take that content and chop it up. So that's what everybody sees, just the chop content. So it's structure and systems. And now that I understand structure and systems, I don't get burnt out as much. I haven't been burnt out in a long time since I put in my structure and systems. I used to get burnt out a lot because I used to try to freestyle my gift instead of putting structure systems around. I tell people without structure and systems, you can't scale and you're gonna get burnt out. So I did a Soul Truth. I created a REST acronym, right? For rest, resist urgency trauma, establish your systems, right? Right? Slow down intentionally and then trust yourself in the process. Rest.
mm.
That's what rest means. Resist urgency trauma, establish your systems, slow down intentionally. Because sometimes when life slows you down, it don't feel good.
You
So
know,
you got to slow yourself down intentionally and
right.
then trust yourself and your system. So now I really implement my own rest acronym and
Mm,
I resist that urgency trauma to do more. And I keep that built in rest. So that's kind of how I do that.
no. No, well, hey man, I thank you for that, man. I'm just giving questions that I think people would want to know, um, that are inspiring to be entrepreneurs and making a transition because a lot of people are coming from jobs. They may be retiring or they may be in a job where it's not ideal for them, and they want to do something, but like nobody's like asking a question or getting feedback. It's just they just stepping out there and it's just they getting all these roadblocks. But from somebody that's been through it and you can ask these relatable questions, it's easier to kind of say, okay, you know what, I'm on the right path. Because a lot of things you've been saying that you don't know, it's been like triggering, like, oh yep, yep, I'm going through that same thing, and I know that you were on that path of where you were at. So yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, man. So as we get up out of here, man, as we get up out of here, I just want to leave the community with this GPS analogy. And the same thing that you said, a lot of things that you heard me say today reassure you and your wife that you guys are on the right path, right? Because you hasn't necessarily been hearing take this left, turn here, because the GPS doesn't talk unless you miss a turn, right? And it has to reroute you or you're coming up on a turn. So I'm gonna end it with this. When you don't hear nothing internally, just keep going. You on the right
Mhm.
path, man. I tell everybody that. Just keep going. Or else your soul will speak to you. Your GPS will speak to you. It'll let you know if you mislearn. It'll let you know if an exit is coming up. So when you know where you're starting from, you really know where your starting point is. Been honest about where you're starting from, and you know where you want to go. On that journey, if the GPS is not saying nothing, just keep going. Even if the scenery don't look familiar, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's not familiar. You ever been on the road traveling somewhere and you ain't never been there and you really gotta trust the GPS
You
and
really
you
got to trust
traveling
them.
and you drive and you like, man, this don't look familiar. I don't know. When you steady looking at the GPS, you drive and you
Right.
but guess what? You trust the GPS and it gets you there even though your surroundings are unfamiliar. So that's what I want to leave you with today in the community. No matter where you're starting from, if you're honest about where you're starting from and you know where you want to go, trust the GPS route. Even though your surrounding environment might feel uncomfortable and feel unfamiliar, that GPS knows where you're trying to go and where you're starting from. Trust the process and build in that rest. So anything you can say left for the community before we get out of here?
Yo, bro, that was a dime right there. That was. You ever get a good pass in basketball? And, you, and for big man me, I'm done.
What you say? The behind the back?
Ah. That was.
Man, so listen, people, if you want to be the next guest on the spotlight, all you have to do is email me. Let me know what area you struggling the most, and are you going to be coached live on the spotlight? We go live every last Monday on the spotlight, and you could be sitting in that chair next month, right? And I could be helping you walk through these steps, right? So you can align to be the best version of yourself. So until next time, the next episode, check out the Married Life podcast or show. It's coming up tomorrow. We going live tomorrow, me and wifey, talking about what it really means to be fully present in a relationship. Because some of y'all don't have relationship problems or marriage problems. You just been absent for so long in your marriage that it's created a gap. And we finna show you how to close that gap and how to be where your feet are. Yeah, tomorrow. So tune into that episode. And then this Sunday, me after 4 live in studio again. We're gonna be talking about ACE. ACE, right? So ACE is a childhood oh man, what is it? Dr. Ford told me what it is, man. Childhood traumas, I think it is. Something like that. So ACE is where your childhood traumas, I'm gonna say it my way to the clinical. ACE is where your childhood trauma affect your adult living if you don't consciously become aware of it. So me and Dr. Ford is gonna be talking about that on Sunday. So until next time, good people, same bad time, same bad channel. Tune in. I'm FL, founder of the WDU Network. This is Jermaine Johnson, the first guest on the Soul Spotlight. And listen, we hope you have a great Monday. Enjoy the rest of your day.